I wanted to speak about, the truth is I wanted to speak about, it's not to speak about, I didn't really prepare too much. But last week I spoke about the Maimer Chazal, about the shrakrak, the bird that makes the shrakrak sound that will announce the Geula. I mentioned basically the word of the Maral, that shrakrak shows on Achtos, because the letters from the Aleph Beis to Kuf Rei Shin, then Shin Reish Kuf means the letters are going back, so each one is connected to the other from forwards and backwards. So the Maral explained the idea of Achtos Mitzad the Eibusher, the Eibusher's mercies on the Yidden. Others for them, they explain in Boshek Geschmack of word that it's Achtos Mitzad the Yidden. That when Yidden are Ba'achtos, that Shrakrak is in of Sherek is also the basis of Kesher. I discussed this last week. But in other words, it's the letters of the Aleph Beis, the more they go, the more they spread out. Aleph Beis is bigger, but Shin Reish Kuf means that everything comes back to its source. So that's why it says, the Gemara said that the Shrakrak will announce Moshiach, but if you look closely in the Pasuk, you'll see the Pasuk actually says that Eshekol Lehem V'Akaptzim, that the whistling of the Shrakrak will bring Kibbutz Golis, because that's the whole meaning of Shrakrak, is the idea of bringing together. So through Avos Yisrael, to bring together Kibbutz Golis. It's fine, but there was one thing I looked, the Pasuk says, Eshekol Lehem V'Akaptzim Kifadisim. I will whistle and I will gather them because I redeemed them. So what's Pshat because I redeemed them? So I mentioned last week that the Mabit in the Sefer Beis Elokim, I think he has a Pirush and Perek Shira, which is a medrash that says all the different every animal, every bird or insects have their own pasuk they praise the Eibusher with. So the Racham says, yeah, today it's a big school. So they have big books today with colorful pictures. It's a whole. I just saw over here in Eitzra Chachma and Perek Shira the amount of svarim that they have. But he has there that this is what the Racham says. Racham says this pasuk of Esher Kolam V'Kaptim. So he says, what's the Inyan? He says, Inyan is that when Moshiach will come, all that will be needed will be like a give a five. The simple meaning is you whistle, is that people in the distance should hear you, should gather together. But all you need is the whistle. You give a whistle and they come together. So a person could ask, just rephrasing the words of the Mabit, Esher Kolam V'Kaptim, they will give a whistle and gather them together. How's that going to be? That with one whistle everyone will come, kilos can happen instantly. So he says, Ki Fadisim. Fadisim is a Lashon Over in the past tense. I already redeemed them. In other words, that when the time Mashiach will come, people will be in the state that they're ready for the Gula, like, you won't have to do anything, it won't take long, it will happen automatically. So the truth is that there's a little bit more to discuss on this particular point, but just before I say that, I just wanted to bring a verse from the Tzemach Tzedek. It's not related to what I want to say further, but he says like this. He says, what's the meaning of truth is, if you look in Tanakh, you have a few times the idea of whistling, when the Eibusher says he's going to bring, even in Lav Davka in positive sense, and it's going to bring enemies, other things. The Eibusher uses the term, I will whistle. Yishak Hashem Lizvuv. Different things. But he says, what is the connection of whistling to Geula? They said the idea of a whistle is something that you can't bring out in words. Like you have what Chassidus speaks about, sometimes certain things you could bring out we could convey in words. Certain things, like when the teacher says something, you can't convey it in words, but he makes with his finger, certain body language, so to say, you can't even bring out in words. So he says that the Indian that the whistle of Lasad Lava is a remez, that then will be revealed the level of what he calls the Indian of the timing. In the Torah, if you look at the Gemara, so we learn that the Gemara interprets different words of the Torah. But if there's an extra letter, or there's a whole, what does the extra letter teach us, and so on and so forth. So Rabbi Akiva was able to teach on every single, and every single and every single koitz and every single the crown on the letter Tilei Tilim Shel Halachas. But then furthermore, there's the neginos, there's the trop. There are different songs, they give different buzz and trop, but there's no halachas you learn out from the trop really. But that's not only it's a level of Torah that it's not revealed to us really yet, but it's even a higher level of Torah, because you can understand that those things that are brought down on letters are already shaykh to be explained in letters, are shaykh to be explained in the words. But then there's the things that are hidden in the song is the level of timing of the trop of Torah conveys secrets that can't even be brought out in words. So he said that's of the whistle last study, but that's not that Torah he brings this down. So now there's a Medrash Rabbah, Medrash Rabbah actually in Parshas Lech Lecha. He brings a number of psukim, and he brings down a famous pasuk that we find that probably you've heard this, but it's a famous thing that by Avram Avinu, the Eibusha told him that Lazarecha Nasati Esaretz Hazos, that I gave the land. Not he doesn't say I will give the land of Israel to your descendants. He says I already gave it. Yeah, the Rebbe spoke about it many. Huh? Right. So whatever it is, but the Medrash says that why does it say in a past tense? So the Medrash says that the Dibur Shel Kodesh Baruch Hu Chashiv Ma'aseh. It said a little bit differently, but it's the same thing. When the Eibusha says something, it's as if it's already done. And he says the same thing regarding the Gula Hasidah. He brings a number of psukim, like we say in davening, say Foda Hashem es Yaakov. Right, the Eibusha redeemed Yaakov. It doesn't say Hashem is going to redeem, is redeeming. He says he already redeemed. Because when the Eibusha said it already, the Eibusha promised to redeem it. Kvayachal, it's accomplished at a certain level. And it brings down this pasuk as well. It says, Esher kol lahem v'akaptein, I will whistle and I will gather them. It doesn't say ki eftem, that I will redeem them. It says ki podisim, I already redeemed them. Where he says, Yivra Hashem al kol mochin hartzi, another pasuk about Lasallah, the Eibusha will create. It says Uvar, he already created. Now, the Nakud over here is a very powerful, so that's what the Medrash says. There's a very powerful idea being conveyed here, which maybe is not a major chiddush, I'm probably not saying anything new, but it's something to speak out a little bit, which is that the concept that, in a certain sense, all the Giluim of the Gula Hasidah, I guess there's room to be mafalful, but generally, Din of the Gula Hasidah is a mile that's already there. It's not that you have to, Rebbe spoke about this a number of times, it's not that you have to create a new thing, right? It's already there. Now you have a number of Meimari Chazal on this thing. I'm just going to get sidetracked a little bit. It's not the standard way of learning, not according to Chassidus, but this way of learning, though, brings that interesting point. You have the Shita HaRambam. Shita of the Rambam is... he discusses the idea of if the Eibusha, so to say, changes. The Eibusha created the world. He created a certain seder of Teva, how it works. What happens when a miracle happens? When a miracle happens, should we say the Eibusha Kvayachol changed his mind or he changed the way he does things? He discusses this. So the Rambam discusses this in a few places. Samir Nevuchim Chelik Beis Perek Tes is one place, and then in his Hakdama to Pirkei Avos also speaks about this. I don't remember exactly the point of the Rambam, but more or less the shit of the Rambam is that everything the Eibusha does, so to say, is very pre-programmed in the creation. So even the miracles that were supposed to happen, it's not that the Eibusha created the miracles and either needed the Yamsuf to be split. So you must say that at that point it was. The Eibusha already knew l'chatchila that the Yamsuf will be split, will need to be split. So when he created the Yamsuf, he created it with the teva that it should run as a normal flow, like a normal river or sea, whatever flows or doesn't flow. It should be as in in regular time. But he also created the idea that at that point it will change. So in a certain sense, I don't think Chassidus uses this approach. It's more an approach of Hakira, but the Rambam discusses a little bit Lagabi Yemaisa Mashiach as well. The Rambam is discussing people that say the Rambam not. I want to. There's a very fine line here which people get mixed up. The Rambam is not discussing whether there'll be a miraculous period, but he's discussing the idea that the world will stop to exist. That the world will only exist for 6,000 years and then it will stop to exist. So according to the Rambam, he doesn't accept that. Because he says, how could you accept, and the Rebbe says, the Lav Dafk in his Mishnah Torah is the Rambam going with that way of learning. But the Rambam says, how could you accept the Eibusher likes to change, from what he set up. So the Rambam says, whatever it means, but he mentions that one interesting thing, the Rambam writes, that the Pasuk says, Hashemayim HaChadoshim V'Aretz HaChadosha Asher Ani Oisa. Pasuk speaks about in the future the new heavens and the new earth, which is later period, in the second period of Moshiach for sure. So he brings on one of the Maimer Chazal, that the Pasuk doesn't say, it says, even the Av Shemayim V'Aretz Shasidin Hibaris Kvarim Bruim V'Oimdim. It's not that these new heavens and the new earth are going to be created then, but they're already created now. Because it doesn't say, Hashemayim HaChadoshim V'Aretz HaChadosha Asher Oimdim Lefanai. It says it's standing before me. It doesn't say, the Eibusher is talking that it's not that it's going to be standing then, it's standing now. So the Rambam basically says that there's nothing new under the sun. Whatever's supposed to happen is pre-programmed into the world. Now again, I don't want to get into this conversation. I don't think Chassidus necessarily goes with this way of looking at it. But there's a very interesting point over here. The point over here is that according to the Rambam comes a very geschmack in the Kuda. Everything that's going to change or going to happen is different than the normal thing. It's not pshat that when that happens, there's a change in the Eibusher's Ratzon. There's a change in the way the Eibusher wants to run the world. No. This was already pre-programmed into creation. When the Eibusher created the world, this change is not a change. It's, the Chveis, at a certain point, fruits are in one stage of growth. Things happen a certain way. When they enter another stage, there's a change. But that's part of the program, how it's supposed to grow. So the Rambam is saying, Kilu, if you think about it, it's very murdic in the Kudah that these things that will happen are Kilu pre-programmed into creation. Some people don't like that, because some people dafka want to hear that there's new giluyim, but there's a big mile because it brings out the nakud. The person could say, how could it happen? How could something? So the word is, you're not. The point here is you're not accomplishing something new. It's already programmed into creation. Yeah. Right. So that's the Rambam. I think the Rambam discusses it there. I think in the Zakhtama to Pirkei Avos discuss. Right. So there the Rambam learns talking that all the nisim, all the miracles were put in. I think there's others that disagree with the Rambam, if I'm not mistaken. I'm almost sure that they do. They don't accept the Rambam's approach. But the Rambam said that those miracles are pre-programmed into creation. Now you have some interesting story over here. Shmuel Sisi Purim, he brings down that there was a Jew that was in Spain. In Spain, there was a minister that was a Jew, but he was a Marano. And they arrested him, and they decreed that he has to be burnt alive. So he was close to the king, but the king, he couldn't say not, he couldn't annul the decree entirely, but he might try to push off the sentence. So he said, push it off for a year. He said, this minister is doing many things and he needs to train in someone else, so push it off for a year. So he pushed it off for a year. After a year, he has to push it off for another month. Fine, then a week. Then he pushed it off, one more day, but he couldn't push it off anymore. When it came that day, so everyone came, they used to come, but anyway, suddenly an earthquake erupted. It became a whole turmoil. A lot of people ran away, and this minister used the opportunity. He ran away, and through the help of the king, he secretly got out of the country. This minister was a big philosopher, and he wanted to know what happened over here. Was it? So he says, was this earthquake anyway supposed to happen? It just happened to be, whatever, good luck, that his sentence was set up to the delay. Yeah, that happened punkt at the time of the earthquake, or that Mumayla from heaven, they sent this earthquake, they created the earthquake especially for him to save him. So he says, so he made a decision like this, that if after his whole philosophy, he'll think into it, so he'll come to the conclusion that it wasn't set up, Mumayla didn't send him especially for him to save him, so he won't act like a Jew in an open way. But if he'll decide that, he'll come to the realization that it happened directly from the Eibishter, so then he'll live like an open Jew. Anyway, so he asked about different Chachmei Ashkenaz, different wise men of Germany, but he didn't feel happy with any of their answers. So he heard about the Baal Shem Tov somehow, and he decided to go to the Baal Shem Tov. So he went to the Baal Shem Tov, and he saw that in the courtyard there was someone standing, there was collecting the fare. He was, I don't know how you say it, patting the horses. It was Reb Zev, they're both kitzes. So he asked him, where's the Baal Shem Tov? So he told him where the Baal Shem Tov is. Went to Baal Shem Tov, told him, Shalom Aleichem, Spanish minister. So he became totally, he was shocked that Baal Shem Tov knew who he was. And the Baal Shem Tov said, regarding the question that you have, so the man that you saw that's patting the horses, he'll answer you. So he went back to Reb Zev, the both kitzes. And both kitzes says like this. He says, let's say that they even, Mumayla, they decided, the earthquake wasn't done specially for you. But they always decided from Sheshis Mei Bereishis that at this time, at this place, an earthquake will happen. But the fact that it happened to be that the time that you were supposed to be sentenced was moved to exactly that time, not before, not after, that's definitely Min HaShemayim. Look at it two ways, fine. Could be the earthquake was always supposed to happen. But the fact that your sentence was supposed to be that's definitely Min HaShemayim. That was accepted by the minister, and he became open. He connected to Baal Shem. He brings this Maisa, the Shmuel says he put him, he actually says he heard it from Zalman Kunis, I heard it from the Rebbe's father. It's nice, interesting. Anyway, Paul Leif, yeah. Rapol Khan didn't hear directly from Reb Levi, but he heard it from his own. Interesting, but anyway, Paul Leif. So, what I'm just saying is the concept, a certain Chaykrei Yisrael held that Nisim were pre-problem creation. So from one hand, it's a certain chisaron, because from one hand it shows Kilo Deibishik is not changing, it's doing anything. No. In other words, the question is how you look at it. Everyone believes in miracles.
No.
The question...
They didn't know. They couldn't
no, they're right.
So what's the difference?
So the Eibush knew, but the word is, does it have to, do you have to say that it was
so you have
programmed?
to wait for it to happen and then make it?
Whatever, no, obviously, what I'm saying, the word is, Kilo, the Eibush like has to set it up that way, like, but I don't want to get it. There's a separate discussion. I think it's a whole discussion. It's not gay. I just wanted to say that word regarding the Indian of the bull is already there. That according to Al Pi Chakira, it's a very big yisoid b'chlal understanding. What helps a person understand that the bull is not something you have to create. Yeah, a person could say, he hears all these fantastic things. He looks at the world. He doesn't necessarily see how it leads to it. So it's pre-programmed. When will have to happen will happen in a second. It's already programmed within creation. Now, then this was just one point. There's Api Chassidus, regarding getting back to the Medrash over here, there's a Maimer of the Tzemach Tzedek in Eretz HaTorah. They discusses this Medrash, that it doesn't say, different psukim that the Gula is already there from before. And he explains what this means. He says that he gives two explanations. One explanation, more Polish. Spalabat says the Eibush by him, past, present, and future is all one. So a male of past, present, future is all one. So whatever happens in the future is if it happened in the past. But then he says another thing is that even though then he says a word which is connected to what we're saying tonight, that even though Begashmius, maybe the Gula didn't take place yet, but Beruchnius is there. Since Beruchnius is there, so it speaks about you have a Gula Beruchnius, you have freedom from the Yetzer Hara, even getting the land of Eretz Yisrael, which is what you have even ways Beruchnius, which could happen even before they get the land of Begashmius. So Beruchnius is already accomplished. Now, the truth is, the Rebbe spoke of, I mean, there's two sikhs of the Rebbe. One sikh I couldn't find, I tried before to find it. The sikh I think, Yom Aleph, maybe a little earlier. But the Rebbe speaks the whole thing that that the Gula is already here. Later, it doesn't Nun Beis, the Rebbe said that the Gula is already in the world. But even, I'm saying, obviously that's much more negaya to us now, but I'm saying with B'chlal, the Rebbe Sprach always was that you don't have to be mechad or something. The Rebbe spoke about this in a few, there's a number of angles of it. There's one sikha, Amakutei Sikhas, I think it's Chelik Aleph, Chelik Gimel on Parshas Va'eda. Very powerful sikha, the Rebbe speaks there, Parshas Va'eda Toshin Yudala. The Rebbe speaks there about the fact that Eibusher tells Moshe Rabbeinu, right, and we know that there's 4 or 5 expressions of redemption there. So we know that the fourth expression is regarding the Gula Asida. That's a Chelik Aleph, Pashas Veda. So the 4th expression is regarding Gula Asida, and the 5th expression is regarding Chad Charuv. You know, the time that I mentioned before, the world will literally means be destroyed. Chassidus explains it means the physicality, the chumrius of the world as we know it now won't be, well, not that the world itself will be destroyed. But anyway, so the Rebbe speaks about there that by Yetzias Mitzrayim you already had, the Eibush already promised the Gula Asida. Means that it's already there, it's already, inside the Eibush it's already prepared. And then he explains his words, he explains Al Pinigla, he says interesting thing, he says, Ishe Mishum Chatzir. Ishe Mishum Chatzir, exactly. He says, never bring this down. The famous discussion about the Kama. Chitza, fine, the question should just, in other words, when a person lights a fire, he's responsible for the damages that will come as a consequence. As long as the fire keeps on going, he's responsible. Why? When he lit the fire, he didn't do anything. But whatever happens later is considered to be included in his action the second he lit the fire. It's like when a person shoots an arrow. So the damage is only done once the arrow hits the object that he's shooting it at. But the second it left his hand, that whatever's going to happen further is already considered that he did it. So he says, if by damages this is the way it is, so how much more so by positive things that's the way it is. Then Rebbe goes into a little bit of a pilpul. Says the same Rabbi Yechanan said this, didn't said that if he would have been around at the time when they established the fast of Tisha B'Av, he would have set the fast not on the 9th of Av, but on the 10th of Av. Because 9th of Av was only the beginning of the fire. The main, they lit the enemies lit the Beis Hamikdash on fire Tisha B'Av towards evening. So the main burning was done on the 10th day of Av. So he says he would have established it on the 10th day of Av. So Paul he seems to be contradicting his own opinion. He says before when you light a fire, all the damage of the fire is going to be done. It's considered included in the beginning. So you go after based on the second of the beginning of the fire. So why don't we hear all of a sudden does he say that it's going to be that it should be the Tana should be after, when the main damage was done after the second the fire was lit. So he says that the Eibishter, you don't say this klal. How do you say again? Yishem Yishum Chitza face Lagabi the Eibishter. Because the Eibishter, a human being, once he shoots the arrow, that's it. You can't reverse it. The Eibishter could always take back the arrow. Right? Rashi says, I think in part of Azino. So even when the fire was lit, the Eibishter could have told to say, stop the Churban Achman from taking place. Could have stopped the fire from burning the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, the main problem should really be held to the 10th day of Av. So the Rebbe says, if so, we're saying that since the Eibishter promised the rule, it's as if it's already accomplished. But Lagabi the Eibishter, we just said that you don't say that by the Eibishter. By human being, once he does something, it's irreversible. By the Eibishter, it's not irreversible. But the Rebbe says that's why negative things he said about, by positive things, the Eibishter said that if he says the positive things, he's not going to take it back. So it's it's you can't say the Eibishter himself was forced into it, but he wants to be forced into it. He decided that that's the way it's going to work. But anyway, so the Rebbe says that what's the Hara for a Yid? The Hara for a Yid is that a person has to know that the everything is, all the highest good of the Gula are already there. It has to be revealed. So Mela, the Rebbe says, it gives him the koyach. A person gives a person the koyach to overcome the different challenges that he has in this world, particularly in the last moments of Galus. And he says that he uses the lashon over there that all the concealments are not a real mitzvahs; they're only there to bring out deeper purpose in avodas Hashem. The Rebbe then says that mitzad the geula, which is be'emes lamita, is already here. So really, these concealments are not real. It's only a dimion. Very powerful words. That in other words, mitzad the emes of the world, the geula is there. You have different challenges. That appears to you that way. Whatever. I'm not saying it's not real, but in other words, compared to the real reality of the world, it's not the true reality. And the person has an understanding, gives him the tech to overcome them and to reveal the. Anyway, this nekuda, there's many, like I said, there's many things. First of all, a few things that the Chachamim already said this. First, the Beis HaMikdash is ready prepared in L'mayla. It's not pshat that will come down. The Beis HaMikdash, right after the Beis HaMikdash was the second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, they should already prepared to the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know, maybe it was prepared even earlier, but I'm saying, right, this first of all. You also have the Ma'amar Chazal, Akol Muchal Nesuda, right? There's certain things for the Sudas of Yosef and Shera Abba that are already pre-prepared. So you have this thing there's one sikh I tried to find, I think it was a lady, not to in Sikhas in the particular Vayeshev on Beis, and that says that the world was ready for the Lord. There's a much different word. Here the word is inside the world itself already. Not inside the Eibush that it's already there. Here I'm discussing that from the time the Eibush promised the Gula was a reality inside the Eibush. Inside Ein Koyach Chaser, Poil, inside where things are inside the Eibush, that's tack, in other words, that's what it is, right? It's just it has to come down. So Yid, throughout the Golus, Yid always knew he doesn't have to create something new. He just has to reveal something that's already there. The Rebbe says the world itself is ready. I'm discussing with this, and B'chol L'gabi Avodah Sa'adam, getting back to the original thing I wanted to say from the Ma'abid, L'gabi Avodah Sa'adam, again, I think it's missing the Rebbe Sich, maybe taking liberty to explain it a little bit my way. People are afraid of Moshiach, like I discussed a few weeks ago, but sometimes people are afraid they're going to lose who they are. They're going to lose their identity. Their identity is that they have their Yetzer Hara, with their tightness, with their things, and they're afraid they're going to lose it. It's a fact. Some people, again, it comes, obviously, the more you learn, the more you... But the word over here is the Gula, is not pshat. When the Gula means, when the Gula comes, you'll see, I use the word before this, and when the Gula comes, you'll see that this is who you are. And it's not going to take very long. You're going to realize this is the emes who you are. So, and this is what the Rebbe was saying, I think also in Aleph Emor, and that those sikhs about Goyla and Geula, that your real Metzias, people are afraid that you're not losing yourself. You just, in the times of Galus, we don't necessarily always realize who we really are, what we really want, what we're really happy about. Mashiach will come. It's not going to take too long for us to adjust. Right? It's going to have Eshekalam Vakabs, will be one fight. Because the Etzem, this is who we are. And Etzem, the creation, this is what it is. I'm sure there's going to be a whole adjustment period. You're going to have, I don't know, it's going to, it's going to bring out that this is really what I want. This is what I always wanted. So what's there to run away from? Right. This is one aspect. And then there's also the word that Rebbe always said. The Rebbe always said many times. There's another angle of this word. The Rebbe said the verse in Rebbe Marash, that it's like a person has a treasure box and right, it's all hidden. You just could open it up. That's the word. It's the same idea in a different context, but fine.
Wait, that is there already. It's just open up your eyes.
Right. That the Rebbe said the Al showing great, and the Dafna, but in the word of the Al showing great, I think there's two nekudas. There's great mitzad l'mayla and great mitzad l'mata. That it's ready mitzad the eight. In other words, it's ready mitzad the etzem and it's ready that the world is ready. So the Rebbe, when the Rebbe said that sikh and chayisara, whatever it is, so vayetze, last I think it was also the Ramachos of vayetze. So the Rebbe says, he used lashon. I think he used lashon. Always was the etzem was always great. Now all that's missing. You should open up your eyes and you see that it's ready. There's the fact that inside when the Eibusher created the world, that was ready. Moshiach was created before the world, but I'm saying that this when the Eibusher promised to bring Moshiach, that already created Lamaila. So Mitzad Lamaila was ready. The Rebbe is saying that now the world is also ready, but that's the chiddush that comes to. But the first Mitzad Lamaila was always there. It is. It was something for Mamish. Take it to Mamish.